Hi, everyone. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Sunday afternoon, which means that it's time for us to talk about coping with stress. And boy, did I manage to do that today. I was busy getting everything tidied up, ready to do the broadcast. And I don't know if any of you have ever done this, but I've got a nesting set of 3 Pyrex measuring jugs, different sizes. And I went to get 2 of them out of the cupboard. And instead of holding the handle of the bottom one, I accidentally took the handle of the top one and then dropped the second one onto the big one that I was trying to put into the cupboard. So I ended up with 2 measuring jugs shattering in my kitchen as I'm trying to prepare to do a broadcast. Now you can imagine I had to refocus myself rather quickly, because what is the most important thing then? To be safe. All right. And the most important thing is not a tidy kitchen. The most important thing is, can I be safe? And obviously, can I not walk glass into my new floor? So I spent an hour just getting regrouped and dealing with what was important rather than what I wanted to be dealing with. Hi there, Chris. Good to see you. And to Jody as well. And for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin. She looks after me all the time, for which I'm very, very grateful. So there I was with glass all over the floor. And I don't know about you, but I didn't clean my floor once. I cleaned it, first of all, with a flat mop, one of those ones that is got material on it, and then I cleaned it with a vacuum, and then I washed it until I was pretty certain that every little bit or that I possibly could get up off the floor was there. But you understand, I had shattered glass all over my oven, all over my countertop there, into my sink, because it was in that cupboard right there that it came out, and then it shattered right there. And so it went that way and that way and then this way. But the good news is I didn't cut myself. The good news is it was just glass. And the good news is it's replaceable. But you can understand it wasn't the way I had planned today to go at all. And especially as I was up and did not go to sleep until after 6 o'clock this morning, because I was watching the Australian Open final. And, when you think about all these things, it's just like, really? And the fact that as soon as I finish the broadcast, I'm going out to dinner. So it's all like, really? But, as we always say here, it is what it is. Now, what I found is just to make sure that we understand what's important. What's important is safety. Jody, I noticed that was the first thing that you commented on is, be safe. And that's where I spent my time, being safe. Now, how did I tidy up everything? I just got a cubie and just tucked everything that was where it shouldn't be into the cubie. I got the rest of the week to sort that out. That's the way I look at it. But life happens, right? Life happens. So before I get on to the topic of today, I'm going to be talking about our ability to take rejection and other people's negative views of us, and what we can learn from the story of Rafa Nadal, who won the Australian Open last night. I think his story is very good for us to hear. And I want to just talk about it, because when we hear what he did, then we can relook at, really, what do we do? And so to me, this is really, really important. I just want to make sure that we've got the Olympics coming up soon. We've got, it's a very difficult month for me, February. We got the Super Bowl. I think we've gotten until May, if I'm correct, until the next Open. So I'll be able to catch up on a bit of sleep. And the good news is the rest of the tennis opens, the Grand Slams, the French Open, Wimbledon, and then the US Open are all within my time zone. So that'll make life a lot easier for me. I am not aware of any birthdays. We had Becca's birthday this week on the 28th. We had Erin's 40th, as you know, last week. So happy birthday to anybody that I might not know about. And if I don't know about it, and you are a regular viewer, please let us know. Even if you're a regular viewer in the background, we keep finding these people come out of the woodwork and say hello to us, and we love that. And let us know they've been listening for, or watching for years, but they just never comment. They just, come here to have the discussion, and that's really important. And by the way, Dear Mama Sal isn't just me, right? It's a group of people who get together, and we talk about our life. We talk about our feelings. We talk about our life. And then we also talk about, as you know, our stress. Yeah, Jody's saying she's also looking forward to the Olympics. What are your favorite Winter Olympic events? Yeah, maybe you can give me some input on that, those of you who are in the room. I definitely am a bobsleigh and luge type person. I mean, I like watching the slaloms and stuff, but there's something about, I don't know about you guys, but ever since that Jamaican bobsled team, did their thing, I've been I really fascinated how on earth you could find that death-defying thing fun and train for it and realize, how dangerous that is. But I do love to watch it, I must say. That hundredths of seconds, hundredths of a second makes a difference in life, and it does. My thanks to Lynn. You know who you are, and you know why I'm thanking you. And I just wanted to know if anybody is suffering from stress at the moment and needs to talk about it, let me know so that I know to make room to talk about it before we finish the broadcast. Jody's saying her favorite are skating. Oh, yes, I forgot. Biathlon. Yes, don't you love that? Luge, snowboarding. Yeah, love it all. Yes. Moguls. How do they keep their knees together? Yeah. I don't know about you, but I get tired just watching those people. All right. Now, what I wanted to talk about was, for those of you who are not sporting people, let's just make sure you understand. Last night, the Spanish tennis player was up against the world number 2 for the final of the Australian Open. And the reason I want to talk about it is because I want you to understand what makes people achieve their goals, all right? And why most of us fail in achieving our goals. And that also is, and how they choose to be under stress. You're going to hear that, they choose to be under this much stress. And the question is, why? Why would they do that to their bodies? Why would they do that? And I want to just have that conversation with you, because when you hear this man's dedication to his sport, you sort of end up just shaking your head and going, wow. So let's just explain this. After the 2021 season, when he was knocked out of that, Rafa decided, that's his name, Rafa Nadal decided to have surgery done on his foot. His foot injury had been causing him problems since 2005, I believe. Now, I'm pretty sure you all know that surgery on your hands or your feet is the most dangerous surgery, because you have most of your bones in your body, either in your hands or in your feet. I think you all know that from, your days at school. So anytime you're being operated on your hand or your feet, it's pretty serious stuff. They try not to do that if they can possibly help it. So now you're thinking about it. This is a top class tennis player. And he waited this long to have the surgery because he wanted to achieve a lot of his goals before he did, right? And so he knew that there was a possibility that when he had the surgery, he may never play tennis again, right? There was that risk. But he decided to do it anyway. And he did it at the end of the 2021 season. So, think about this. So now he's in recovery on foot surgery, and any of you in the room that might have had foot surgery or broken bones in your feet, I have done, you know how difficult that is to recover from. And you are presumably not a Grand Slam level tennis player. Yeah, Jody, thank you. Jody's saying there are 28 bones in the foot and 27 in the hand. Right. And I didn't know it, but that's the reason why your doctor will not inject you into your foot or your hand, with certain things, because, the going wrong there is pretty easy to do. Anyway, so think about this. He's recovering from foot surgery, thinking he may never play tennis again. And things go fairly well. The surgery went well and his recovery started to go well. And here he was. He decided, yep, he's going to sign up for the Australian Open. He's going to presume that he's going to be good. Now, you understand that first thing. He didn't say, well, I'm 35, by the way. I'm 35 years old. I'm limping because I'm in recovery. Therefore, I'm not even going to enter. No, he entered. Now, can you understand? He told his body to hurry up and get well because he had something he needed to do, right? He had something he needed to do, and that is the Australian Open, and train for it. So he's on his path heading towards the Australian Open, and his rehab and everything else, and everything's going pretty well, and then he gets COVID. Now, how many of you understand that, that knocked him out for quite a while? So a lot of people are going, now, he's not going to be there, right? He's not going to be there because he's just got too much going against him. But Rafa wanted to do the Australian Open. Some of you know why he wanted to do it, and the reason is multiple. I'm pretty certain some of you know that the prize money of that thing is close to 3 million, and you probably think, well, he wanted the money. No, he's already worth about 125 million, I believe. I think that's what his earnings have been over the years. 125 million. Imagine that. So that wasn't the motivation. The motivation was not the money. The motivation was that he was tied with the Russian whose name I call him DJ. You know who I mean, the Serb who just got sent home. This guy, and also Federer, I think Roger Federer, is it? That all three of them have won 20 Grand Slam titles, and they were all at the same level. And it was Rafa's dream that he would get to 21. Now, you understand, if he gets to 21, the chances are the other two are going to do everything they can to be there with him, and the competition will start again. So you go, think about that. Think about how many people wrote him off for this event because of what was happening in his life, and yet he didn't. He didn't write himself off. So my question is to you, what does it take? What does it take to have that level of commitment to your goals? Thank you, Jody. Jody's just reminding me that Rafa's estimated net worth at the moment is 200 million as of in 222, and that was before last night, probably. You know, add another 203 million. Now, obviously, he pays his crew and all his helpers and everything else, so he doesn't personally get to pocket all that money. But you know what I'm saying is he's not short of a few bob, as they say. So, what does it take, do you think? What did it take for him to overcome his injury, COVID? Oh, by the way, just so you all know how important this was, he started the game round about 1:30 my time. He started the game and went one set down against the Russian, number 2, and then went 2 sets down. Now, if those of you who don't know, a Grand Slam like that is the best of 5 sets, all right? So if he's the first set down and the second set down, he loses one more set and he's out. He was 2 sets down to nothing. He didn't have 1 set to his name when he started to claw his way. I mean, I'd have to say that was the word. He clawed his way into the next set and won it. And then he clawed his way into the 4th set and won it. And then he clawed his way into the 5th set. And I want to tell you, right up until, I mean, you've got to give credit to both tennis players. They were wonderful, both of them. But you know, the funny thing was, you've also got the added problem where Rafa was 10 years older than his opponent. Right? Rafa is 35 and the Russian was 25. So you look at it, that's a big difference. So what does it take? Jodi's saying it takes passion for achieving a goal. Laser focus. Laser focus. Do you understand? In a way, I had to have laser focus on being ready to do the broadcast, to be able to get the kitchen tidy and the floor clean in time. Do you understand that? That's not that's a mess. I just canceled the broadcast. No, that's called, I have only got this much time left and I need to make sure I'm safe and that my floor is safe and be able to do the broadcast. And so you need to change your priorities a lot in that situation. So the other thing is, how many of you know and can imagine that the press was busy saying they didn't think Nadal would do it. You know, he was too old. He's, coming back from surgery and So you knew there was this undercurrent of people not believing in him. And that is part of the discussion today. How many of you spent most of your life trying to get people to believe in you when they didn't? All right? Trying to get people to believe in you when they didn't. That their judgment of you was less than you thought was fair. And I always call that, when you're doing that, then you're turning yourself into a pretzel to please other people, right? And one of the things that I really want you all to understand is that you are enough. Who you are, what you have achieved, what you intend to achieve, you don't have to prove anything else to anybody. But if you are not spending your life achieving your goals, the ones you want to achieve, not the ones that other people want you to achieve, if you're not spending your life focused on what you want to achieve, do you understand? You're just not doing your job. If you are constantly being pulled off your path because of the views of other people, then you are not passionate about your goal. If you were allowing other people's judgment of you to change your path, even, how many people have I met that said, well, actually, I'm training to be a doctor because my parents want me to be one? And I'm amazed how many times I said, and what do you want to be? I had one guy who looked at me straight in the face and said, I'd actually like to be a dancer. Jody's saying, I remember this countless times I wasted on letting other people's opinion of me determine my mood and my self-worth. Join the queue. Right? You're not alone, Jody. But is it really time wasted? In a way, I would say yes. But on the other side, I'd say until you get to the point where you can see it for what it is, you didn't actually waste the time. You're learning to get to that point in the road. All right. So now, I wanted to let you know that most people who are highly successful, spent the first 10 years of their career, or maybe more, being rejected. Does that make any sense to you? They spent at least 10, maybe 20 years of people telling them, don't quit your day job. You're not good at this. So the question is, why did they continue? Why did they continue? Well, I know that I was really lucky back in the 70s. Yeah, I'm that old. Back in the 70s, I read a book by Terry Cole Whitaker called What You Think of Me Is None of My Business. I think it was one of those books that really made a difference in my life. And, sometimes those books from that era, it was a big new age era. And when I say that is that, we got away from just having psychological books. We had books that were written that made sense to the, average person. And I always remember that book and reading it and going, that's so true, isn't it? What you think of me is none of my business. Can you imagine if I had listened to all the people on YouTube who told me that I was a waste of skin, and not carried on? We would not have the stories to tell that we have had. The stories of the Leslies of this world, of Nyasha that we had recently. We wouldn't have Jody's stories. We wouldn't have the wonderful stories from us. You know what I mean? There's so many things that we would have missed out on if I had listened to my critics. I just knew what I wanted to do, and I was going to do it, and I was going to do it to the best of my ability in a way that suited me. It wasn't the right way, but in a way that suited me. And so to me, when I read that book back in the 70s, what you think of me is none of your business. I can remember how many people told me what I should be doing with DearMamaSal, and they were probably right for their goals. But the funny thing is that I wanted to do it for my reasons, not for theirs, right? And people wanted to see me do extremely well because they knew I would help a lot of people. And I said, I know that. But, I believe that I will do extremely well in my own way. And as I look at it today, I'm very happy with what we have achieved. So I want to ask you, how many of you remember being at school and having people not like you at school, and that made you not want to go to school? Can you remember that? Any of you remember that? Maybe you were getting bullied at school. Maybe they were rude to you. Maybe they stole your lunch money. But, they said things about you, and maybe for a second you even believed them, that they were right. And that would be so sad, right? So I'm wondering what you heard from your parents or your people who cared about you, your counselors, whatever. What did you hear that turned you around and gave you the courage to keep going to school? Jody's saying, I remember the countless times oh, wait a minute. Jody's saying, I remember middle school like that. Yes. And I think most of us had most of the problem in middle school. And, while you're still forming your self esteem, I would say, it's not about your makeup. It's not about being in the in group, is it? But you had to learn that. What you had to learn is who you are, and that you didn't have to fit in with everybody. Where did you fit in? That would be a question. I know that I really did well fitting in with the athletes. I know that sounds strange when you look at me today, but that's where my best fit was. All right. I wasn't a nerd. Oh, and the artists. Right. No doubt about it. I wasn't necessarily brilliant at art, but I was pretty good. And I couldn't see, and I didn't know it. And therefore, a lot of my artwork was totally abstract, and people thought I was so talented. And I kept getting very confused, because it's like, what do you mean that is a wonderful interpretation? And I'm going, that's what I'm looking at. It was only when I was about 16 that I found out that I was short-sighted. It's really funny, isn't it? I went through all that time in my life not being able to see. Yeah, Jody's saying she was in with the creative kids and the funny ones. Oh yeah, and I was up to no good as well. You can probably imagine that, the rebel in me, right? I was at boarding school. I was at boarding school from the age of 6. And I want to tell you, I was doing things like climbing over the roof at night. I'm scared of heights, for goodness sake. But I was, climbing over the roof at night with people following me. I was a great leader. I could overcome my own fear by leading others. And, it was really quite funny when I think about it. But, I like that. I liked being a leader. I liked that people looked up to me and trusted me to keep them safe. I like that. I can always remember that really, really well. So as an adult, we realize that life is about living our life, not somebody else's. And some of us will spend our whole life trying to please other people, be it daddy or mommy or Aunt Jean or whatever. You know what I mean? Some people spend their whole life trying to please other people. And the people who are happy are people who do what they want to do and do it to the best of their ability. Remember that tennis player. He doesn't need to play tennis, for goodness sake. He doesn't need to play it for the accolades. Why? He's already had them. He's won 20 Grand Slam titles, 21 now. He didn't need to do it for that. He didn't need to do it for the money. He's already made 200 million. He didn't need to do it for anything other than himself. He wanted to see if he could make it to 21 Grand Slam titles. And then life threw surgery at him. And then life threw COVID at him. And he still did it. I want to tell you, when I was watching that last night, I was in tears. I was in tears, and still am apparently, because it was so beautiful. That is what he was prepared to do. I look at how many people on YouTube have gone through living hell of other people's judgments when they're just trying to do something good in the world. You all know people that have done that. They have been so badly criticized by people who would never have the guts to do what they do, or the talent. But they're so quick to criticize people, aren't they? But they kept going. Why? They kept going because what they want to do is more important than their judgments. I don't know if you all know Stephen King, the author of the horror stories. Yeah. I know that when he was writing a book about writing, which I thought was interesting, he said that he pinned every rejection letter onto a wall. That he had a nail in the wall, and every rejection letter he got, he went, there we go. I'm one step closer, to getting an okay. And then he kept adding it to the nail. And then he said that the nail on my wall could no longer support the weight of the rejection slips. I impaled it. That he'd impaled on there, like this, right? He said, I then replaced the nail with a spike. You see, he didn't say I've got 300 rejection letters. He said, and you remember that Edison said that every time he failed to make the light bulb, he said, I'm one step closer to finding out what will work because I found yet another way. 30,000 ways he tried, something ridiculous like that, right? He kept saying, I'm one step closer because I found another way it doesn't work. Therefore, I'm lessening the ways I need to try until it does. And talk about believing in your ability to do it. Believe in your ability to do it and keep doing it until you prove yourself right. Keep doing it until you prove yourself right. Till you've got the knowledge, till you've got the experience, till you've got the friends to help you, till you've got, it's like keep going. Be prepared to have another rejection letter and keep having. By the way, I thought I'd mentioned that at the time when that happened, when he changed from a nail to a spike, he was 14, for goodness sake. He had already had that many, he had tried to sell his writing that many times at the age of 14. How many of you are going, wow, do you think he always wanted to be a writer? Think about that. He had had that many rejection letters by the age of 14. You see, sometimes these people just do what they're meant to do. And he kept on writing until he got accepted. Do any of you know of the artist Andy Warhol? Very well known for painting a can of Campbell's soup, amongst other things. But in the 70s, he was, a force to be reckoned with in modern art, all right? And what he did, and I love this story, he sent, because he was a kind, generous sort of man, very weird in lots of ways, but he sent one of his works to the Museum of Modern Art, I believe, because that's what he was, a modern artist. So he sent one of his works donated it, didn't ask them to buy it, donated it, and he got a rejection letter. They wrote back and said, look, we thank you so much for thinking of us, very polite, but thanks, but no thanks. Do it was so funny because, the guy, unfortunately, had his name in print because it's all over, everywhere now. But, Andy Warhol went on to have his own museum. He became that famous that he could have his own museum of his own works, right? A museum dedicated just to his works. And it's just like, did somebody else's opinion of his work stop him from being an artist? No, he just loved doing it. So he kept on doing it. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't necessarily like his work very much. I know it was very clever, but it's not my sort of art. But hey, he probably doesn't like mine either. You know what I mean? It's like, that's okay. How about Madonna? I saw a lovely story about Madonna. Another one of, actually it's worth just reading some of these rejection letters. If ever you want to laugh a little bit, read some of these rejection letters, because I read one that was sent to Madonna that basically said, this was good, this was good, this was good, but what was lacking was talent, I think, something like that. You know what I mean? So therefore we respectfully decline. Do you think they made that, felt a bit silly about that about 5 years later? But were they entitled to their opinion? Absolutely. And by the way, were they experts in the field? Absolutely. But what they didn't know was what the young people were going to like. And they liked Madonna. And she was a marketing genius. I mean, I believe Madonna changed the way music was marketed, dramatically. It was like the introduction of MTV, all right? I'm pretty certain that you all know that, up until the time that MTV came about, artists just had to produce songs and sing them. Once we had MTV, artists now needed to be able to be creators. They needed to be actors and be able to make their music with action. Now, quite a few artists didn't want to do that. All right. But I'm thinking, I think it was Duran Duran, wasn't it? Who took it to the nth degree. They knew that they could have a big showing on MTV if they did a really good video. And they went off to the Caribbean and they did an incredible movie around their song. I'm trying to remember which song. Jodie probably knows it because she likes Duran Duran. But, it was just like it changed the industry right there and then. They set the standard. Did they have to do it? No. But they knew that there was an opportunity there. And they knew that not everybody was going to want to be performers as well as recording artists. And they took their talents and took it to the Caribbean and took a bunch of beautiful models with them. I mean, they did it well. And so we got the birth of the music video right there. So what about U2, all right? The Irish group, U2. Bono, right? It is Bono, right? Or U2. You think about that. You know how many times they got rejected? Amazing. Yeah, Jodie is saying about Duran Duran, right? So they had a reputation as trendsetters in the music video era. The song Rio was made on the yacht. Yes. Okay. Thank you. That's the one I was thinking of. And, that's where they had all the beautiful models. And, it was like a Sports Illustrated cover music video. It was very clever. So you look at it and you go, U2 was rejected all over the place. Do you think the Beatles were rejected all over the place? Do you think people had opinions? Oh, I can remember my mother's opinion of the Beatles. Long-haired gits was the expression I remember. But, funny enough, 5 years later, when we had the Stones coming, at a different angle, I can remember watching the Stones and saying, well, the Beatles were such clean-cut guys. I'm going, long-haired gits, and now they're the clean-cut guys. But that's how it had changed, right? Because the Beatles were long-haired when they started, but by the time you had the 70s and the Stones with long hair, the Beatles did look pretty clean-cut, on their strange suits that they decided to wear and their uniform haircuts. Yeah, times change. Do you think Jennifer Aniston was ever rejected? Think about that. To be an actor. What about Tom Selleck? Do you think he was rejected a few times? And, what about Brad Pitt? Do you think he got rejected? So why did they carry on? If every time they went to audition, right, they got rejected. Well, we want somebody fatter, thinner, taller, less of an accent. Oh, think about that. I'm thinking Michael Caine, who had this accent that he never bothered to hide. Think about Sean Connery, Scottish accent. He never bothered to hide it. He just carried on, acting with his Scottish accent, and we learned to love it. But do you think there were so many critics that said, well, he can't act because he can't even change his accent. Really? Take that one to the bank. What about J.W. Rowling, right? With the Harry Potter stuff, all right? Do you know how many rejection letters she got? That she really should not quit her day job. She was writing this from inside a car. She was living inside a car. That's how broke she was. But she kept on writing. The question is, why? After all that rejection, remember what Stephen King did? After all that, he didn't throw them away and say they're stupid, right? He said, I just need to get enough of them. Somebody's going to say yes eventually. And the rest is history, right? The same with, Harry Potter, right? Just in case eventually somebody said yes. And the rest was history. She's a multimillionaire today. Rowling. Jody, could you check how much she's worth today? And she was literally living in her car when this slot started. And Jeannie, hi Jeannie. Jeannie's saying, being yourself is the best. Don't try. How much of your life have you wasted trying to be somebody else? Right? And I get sad when I watch people, on YouTube or in life, trying to be somebody else. And it's like, I think it's sad, but I understand it because I tried to be somebody else for part of my life, didn't you? And then one day I woke up and I went, you know something? If they don't like me as I am, I think it was when I read that book, what you think of me is none of my business. If they don't like me as I am, then I think, I just want to be me. They're not going to like me whether I'm me or not. They're always going to be people that don't like me. Yeah, how about that? Jody's just confirming. Harry Potter has now made Rowling over $1 billion net worth today. $1 billion. And all those, can you imagine being one of those people who rejected her? Saying, no, listen, we're not sure. No, I think one of them said something like, the world doesn't need another children's story or something. I can't remember who they compared it with. What Nancy Drew type thing, you know what I mean? The world doesn't need that anymore. We've moved on. Well, hello. I remember an adult saying to me, Sal, have you read Harry Potter? And I'm going, who? No, what has he written? No, Sal, it's not what has he written. It is the name of a character, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. You need to read the book. I remember an adult telling me that. And that's why she was worth $1 billion, because adults liked it as much as children. But you see, I don't think she was writing it for anybody in particular. I think she's a storyteller. She liked to tell stories. Makes sense. She just wanted to write. And by the way, when she killed off the Harry Potter series, she carried on. She even changed her name, didn't she? Jody, could you check that for me? I believe that she decided to write under another name just to check out whether she was actually any good under another name, right? Or whether she was now only good because of her name, and they automatically thought she was good because of the track record she had. So she actually, and quite a few authors have done that after they got successful. Jody's saying somebody at a publishing house lost their job. No, I don't think so necessarily, Jody, because you see, that's the joy. I was saying yesterday about something else. That's the reason Baskin-Robbins made so many different flavors of their ice cream, right? Different strokes for different folks. And so this expert reading children's books for all his career, right, didn't think it fitted in to what he believed was the winning formula. Thank you, Jody. I had a feeling that she did that. J.K. Rowling actually wrote under the name of Robert Galbraith. She wanted to find out, hey, is my writing any good with a different name? I believe people like, I'm not sure if Stephen King did, but a lot of the famous writers weren't quite sure, and so don't you love that? They already know they're brilliant, but they wondered whether they'd be brilliant with a different name. I like that. I like that little bit of insecurity somehow. I don't know about you. I understand that, don't you? I thought this one was interesting. When I was doing my research this week, I was reading something about George Clooney. Now, obviously, George Clooney, for those of you who are not as old as I am, he came as the son of a very famous singer, Rosemary Clooney. And so he had all the right connections to start with. I'd like to say that he was pretty well connected in Hollywood, before he ever started. And then, of course, he got onto the television and did the, I want to say ER. What was it? It was, yes, somebody will remember for me. Anyway, it wasn't St. Elmo's Fire. It was, yeah. Something like that. And, he became very popular there. I mean, why not? He's dropped down dead gorgeous, right? And so what I found interesting was after he made his millions and then married Amal, I don't know if you guys know this, but he was offered, oh, thank you. Jody's saying that Richard Bachman is the pseudonym, the name under which Stephen King started to write to find out if he was accepted under another name. And I'm sure he was. Anyway, so George Clooney made millions, all right, Oceans 9, 10, and 11, 12, whatever. And then married Amal, and that's fine. And then not so long ago, can't remember how long ago it was, but I remember the situation. He was approached to do a commercial for an airline. All right. It was ER. Thank you, Jody. I got it right. I got surprised. I knew it was one of those. Right. Anyway, so he was approached because they wanted him to do a commercial for an airline. And it was just going to be a one-day shoot, all right? So they would, obviously fly him to where they wanted him, and just one day in front of the cameras, and they offered him $35 million. How many of you are going? My question to you is, would you take the money? Just have to go out for one day. Hardly even have to pack a bag, all right? Get flown out, obviously first class, on the airline probably, and then, do the shoot and then come home again. The twins would hardly have missed him. And so you look at it and go, would you have done it if the price was $35 million? I want to tell you this story because I have great respect for anybody who can do this. He had a little chat with them all about it, and they first of all, you understand, they really don't need 35 million, but we might, but they don't. So it's like, it wasn't about the money. What they said was, when they looked into the airline and the country that it was from and the associations that country had, ethically, they didn't like it. Ethically, they didn't like it. And do you think people around the world have judged him for that? Where it's like, seriously? You're going to say no to 35 million? And I go, absolutely. Well done. I was so proud of him. Now, as I said, he doesn't need the 35 million. And isn't it interesting that is something that somebody was prepared to pay to get his name associated with their airline? I found that really interesting. And so being ethical will get you judged harshly. Being ethical, having integrity will get you judged harshly. I cannot tell you how many times I have been judged on the fact that I have been ethical about things. And I'm going, be my guest. I had a gig. I was meant to do, I was meant to go to Vegas and actually speak in Vegas. How many of you know for a speaker to be able to speak in Vegas, is just like pretty big deal. But on that day that they wanted me, I was due to speak for a group of school children that had booked me months ago. And I said, I'd love to do it, but the answer is no, I'm already booked. Well, my agent said, who are you booked with? And I said, a school booked me. Oh, so you're going to go to do a school instead of Vegas? I said, yep. Do you think my agent judged me because of that? Harshly. Why? They weren't getting any money for me talking to the school, but you imagine how much they would have made if I'd been talking in Vegas. Think about that. So did my agent, I had a speaking agent, did my agent judge me and treat me very harshly after that? Yeah. They're right. That was okay. You understand, it's part of life. And so again and again, I'm going to ask you, why did Rafa Nadal keep playing tennis to that level to win last night? Why? It had nothing to do with fame. It had, well, maybe it did. It had nothing to do with money. We know that. Maybe it wasn't though fame. Do you understand? This was about nobody has ever won 21 Grand Slams. And that's not true, by the way. No male had ever won 21. Margaret Court, I believe, I could be wrong on this one, I believe Margaret Court won 28 Grand Slams. Serena Williams was very close behind her. Maybe Chrissy Evert. I think those three women won more Grand Slams than the men. Of course, they got paid less. And it was one of the things that really impressed me when I looked at the prize money for the Australian Open. Do you know that the women players got exactly the same as the men? All right, so Ash Barty, who won the women's singles, got exactly the same money as Rafa Nadal did last night. All right, it wasn't, well, it's a women's game, so we'll pay less. No, they paid exactly the same. How long has that taken? Nadal has, yes, he's now won. Hi there, Mona, Mo. He's 121 now, but as when I went to bed at 1:30, he'd only won 20. I believe his competitive spirit. He just wanted to go. I wouldn't be surprised to see him retire now. All right, 35. He's done it. It's a bit like Tom Brady. All right, playing the quarterback. All those years playing for the Patriots, did he need to carry on playing? He's older than anybody, you know what I mean? Why did he carry on playing? It's not like he hasn't got a gorgeous wife, gorgeous house, gorgeous everything else, and he can play golf for the rest of his life and not worry about where he's going to find the money to raise the kids. No, that's not the problem. Okay, so thank you, Jody. Jody's correcting me. Margaret Court won 24 Grand Slams. Okay, so you look at it and go, what motivates these people to keep going? And we know it's not money. What gets them up in the morning isn't money. What gets them up in the morning to literally, can you imagine playing tennis for 5 straight hours at that level? I was reading last night that Rafa loses as much as 7 to 8 pounds in a match, one match, not a tournament, in a match, just in sweat. If you watch him, the sweat pours off him, literally pours off him. And you go, what motivates you to get out of bed and get yourself fit enough to play tennis nonstop for 5 hours? Can you imagine that alone? What that must take. And then, I had never really noticed it before, but, there is the reality that Nadal, he definitely is OCD, all right? He has a whole lot of things that he does that would, pretty much make it obvious that he's OCD. He does not like to walk over one of the lines, not when he's playing. When he's not playing, he doesn't like to walk over the sidelines with anything other than his right foot. And you'll see him do a little shuffle so that he can do that. I noticed on the court where they had the word Melbourne, which is where it was in Australia, in Melbourne, that every time he wasn't playing and he got near that sign, he did a shuffle so he could walk over it with his right foot. Really interesting to watch. So you go, do you think he's been judged for that? I am sure that the comedians have had a field day. Yeah, Mo saying, I'm not surprised, Sal, if a lot of them have had issues. Of course. I read once a long time ago that the number of suicides amongst comics was scary. All right? Great talent, and they learn to take their fears and their traumas and turn them into humor. But the judgments, people being rude to them, catcalling them, all that, it's difficult to take. You got to have a certain mentality. Yeah. So you look at it and go, I don't think it's surprising. It was the Japanese player, I think. Isn't she Japanese? Or Japanese origin playing out of Hawaii? Naomi, yeah. So you look at it and you go, for all of you who've got mental health issues, hello, think about this. Did that stop Naomi from becoming a world-class tennis player? No, she just wanted to play tennis. If people would just stop interviewing her, she'd be happy. Hello? It's like she just wants to play tennis. Doesn't like being interviewed. Can you believe that she can play tennis to that level and yet doesn't like to be in front of the cameras? Yeah, she can play tennis with the world watching her, and criticizing her and everything else, but doesn't like to be put in the spot by the press. And had the guts to say so. I admired her for that, quite honestly. I really did. I admired her for that. And I know there would be people saying, well, it's part of the game. And by the way, it's part of their contract that they have to do it. But I believe as we go forward that there will be contracts written where that isn't part of the contract. This is called, you want me to play top-class tennis? I will, but I don't want to go in front of the cameras. And let the people who love going in front of the cameras do it, right? But again, doesn't matter whether you're Stephen King, whether you write something as amazingly profitable as Harry Potter, it doesn't matter what it is that these people do. Whether you are, Madonna or U2, you are going to get criticized by people who are jealous, angry, think they know better, don't have the same motivation as you do. I'm amazed how many people, my own family included, saying, why do you spend so much time researching all this stuff to do a broadcast? Imagine what you could be doing instead. And I said, I cannot think of anything. I was actually talking to Benji yesterday. For those of you who know Benji, I had quite a chat with Benji yesterday about something. And I said, to me, the greatest gift for me is to do the research, because I actually spend, as you know, a lot of you know, I spend all week putting the broadcast together, because I don't do it. I live it. Something will happen to me and I think, that's an interesting topic. Why don't I talk about that? Or I will see something, I will read something in a book and I go, wow, that's interesting. I could definitely know that my viewers are going to want to know a bit more about that. Remember when we did a whole year on emotional intelligence, all right? And it was just like, we will continue to do stuff on emotional intelligence, but it was just like, let's just make sure that we can give everybody the tools that they need to be emotionally more intelligent. And, I was talking to Benji, and funny enough, he was talking about emotional intelligence as well. And I said, yeah, I spent a year talking to the viewers about it. So you look at it and go, people will always judge you. But you know what I love? And I'm pretty certain this will be the same for an awful lot of people who follow their dream. I love going to bed at night. And I have, some of you know this, I have a personal mantra that I live by. Something they say, if you want to know how to live your life, write your own epitaph. In other words, what is it you would like people to put on your tombstone? And I wrote mine way, way back. I would think probably in my late 20s. And I said, I would like them to, chisel into my gravestone, although I don't want one. Here lies Sal, who cared enough to share, shared enough to make a meaningful difference, and by so doing became a gentle giant inside. The point that I was making to Benji was, the more I research, the more I learn, the more interested I get, the more I realize I don't know, the more interested I get to do another broadcast. Does that make sense to anybody? I am a very selfish person. I love doing the broadcasts, but I also know one thing, and you guys know it because you hear me talk about it all the time. My broadcast helps just one person today, then it's worth all the time I took doing it. That's the way I live my life. If my broadcast today helps one person, and by the way, if any of you either watching now or watching on the replay or watching in the shadows here, if the answer is, well, it sure helped me, have a look at my motivation and my dedication. If you agree that it has helped you, then give it a thumbs up. But understand, then it's enough for me. Okay, so Mo's saying, okay for me to repeat that, Mo? I just want to double check, because you haven't been around as long on the chat as some people that you might not know. I just don't want to repeat something because it's going to go on the replay. So just give me the okay, please, if it's okay for me to repeat what you just said. Thank you. Mo said, I have members in my own family ask me why I spend so much time involved with a mental health organization when you are retired and you ought to be enjoying your time. You paid your dues in healthcare. Well, I know exactly why you spend that time there. Well, I don't know exactly. I got a pretty good idea. You want to make a difference. You know that there is a need, and you want to make a difference. Am I correct in that, Mo? And it gives you a reason to get up in the morning. It gives you a reason to keep using your brain, and you want to pay it forward to others. Yeah, you see? But here's the thing, Mo. right? Here is the thing. Do you also agree that by so doing, you get such great rewards, even though it's not easy, even though you've got to deal with, believe me, I've been on a board of a mental health thing. And I couldn't help thinking that I got into big trouble, Mo, as you can probably imagine, because I sat there and said, how come we spend more time talking about the salary increase for the executive director than we do talking about the people we're trying to look after? Could somebody answer that to me? Because I find that a little strange. Yeah, and Mo is saying, yes, and in the long run, I do see changes in others. Right? And so this is the whole thing, Mo. Um, you do what makes you happy. You know that you make a difference. You know that anybody would be fortunate to have you as part of the team. And you know that it doesn't have to be your area of expertise that you originally worked in. You know you have a skill set that solves problems. Am I right? And you are not letting your age define how long you do it for. Yes, isn't that true? And right, because as I said, I'm not so noble at all, right? And Mo's saying, and I learn from these people at every level, and they appreciate it. Duh. I can remember, Mo, one of my favorite stories about being on the board of a mental health association was I took a whole group of our members um, out on Paddy's Day. And, now there's a group of people that used to being judged pretty harshly. And I got them inside the pub and I said, now, guys, just got to make sure you know something. I'm pretty certain you have all seen them have a look at you and you can see, you don't have to hear them. You can see the judgments written over their faces and everything else. And I said, here's the good news. By the second drink, they're going to look just the same. And, it was just like, people just don't get it, do they? I questioned how come the executive director has got a plush carpet like this and the members are busy on a cement floor. I wasn't very popular. I wasn't very popular at all. And, somebody said to me, we're not here to talk about that. And I said, oh, aren't we? And you can imagine that, how I was judged. And I eventually, after about a year, I said, something, I think I'll, give this a break. I'm fed up with the negative input all the time. Boy, did they fight to keep me on board. They fought. I literally had representation in my house going, Sal, please don't quit. We know that we judge you harshly, but you have done so much good. And because you are prepared to stand up and be counted. I said, yeah, I believe that deeply. Jeannie's saying, one of my accomplishments years ago was buying milk for my junior high school class when none of them had eaten breakfast. Doesn't surprise me at all, Jeannie, because it was the right thing to do. You did it. And you were criticized for it. Yeah, let them do that. Let them criticize. You see, you answer to a higher God. Mo saying, quite frankly, I have some major issues with the limited minds of the board members of the organization. I did too. How shallow they are and how much they really do not know how incredible the members are. I want to tell you, I used to go and play. And when I say play, I used to go and work. We had members that were in a work situation. We created a work situation. We brought work in for them. I used to go and sit and work with them. I used to cry with laughter. as they tried to teach me the right way to stuff envelopes or whatever. I used to just, I go, yeah, and I'm the one that apparently is, whose mind's working. And, and they loved the fact that I was prepared to do that. And I was amazed how many other board members said, Sal, you really shouldn't be doing that. I'm going, really? I want to know what they think. I want to know how to serve them better. How can I do that if I don't talk to them? How can I do that if I don't hear their side? If I only hear your side or the executive director's side? No, you've got the wrong person. I want to hear it from their side. So, I look at it and go, Stephen King is okay with being judged. Why? He knows he's a brilliant writer. Always has known. Even if his teachers didn't know. He knew. And he just lived his dream. Right? He just lived his dream. I look at Madonna, all right? Yeah, this is good, but she doesn't have any talent. Yeah, you just were not quite as ahead of the game as you should have been, Mr. Music Producer. If you look at all of this and just ask yourself, while I still have time, because none of us know whether we're going to be here next week, while I still have time, what is it I would like to accomplish this week? What is it of my dreams that I need to just get a little bit stronger on, make more time for, find the time for, and stop giving excuses for? What is it that would show me that I really do want this in my life? That is my question. Because we are so full of excuses, and we are so busy looking for approval, and we are so busy trying to be the next. Remember we had somebody come online and say, I want to be the next PewDiePie. And I'm going, why would you want to be the next one? I always just wanted to be DearMamaSal, not the next one. I didn't want to be the next anything. I didn't want to be, Benji. I didn't want to be Judy. I just wanted to be me. All right. Mo, big money earner on YouTube. Don't worry about the name. PewDiePie, P-E-W-D, yeah, D-E-P-I-E, I think. But, made millions. So this isn't why I do it. I want to be me. I don't even want to cook well. I just want you to see that, hey, hucking some stuff together can actually create quite nice meals. All right. I don't even want to have to measure. Why? Let the expert people do that. Me, I want to experiment with food. And I do that every week. And what amazes me is how many people want to watch me do it. Isn't that amazing? People want to watch me do it. And when I started doing YouTube, I didn't go for a popular subject. All right? I just wanted to help people cope. I kept asking myself, what if I had known then what I know now? Yeah, Mo saying money is not my motivation. Peace of mind. And spreading joy and feeling good in my mind and body and soul are the most important things to me. So you look at it and go, you remember what I said? Here lies Sal, who cared enough to share, shared enough to make a meaningful difference, and so doing became a gentle giant inside. This is not about money. This is not about fame. I was an international motivational speaker. Why do I need that? Boy, believe you me, I didn't need that much stress anymore. Nor do I want it. But how many of you are going, but Sal, doing 3 broadcasts a week, that's stress. That's stress. Well, not if I do it my way. Right? I don't find it stressful. I find it, what do you call it? I find it quite exciting. I'll be reading something and I go, oh, the viewers are going to want to know about this. Right? And I get excited and I go, oh, I wonder, when I was busy, I already had decided that I wanted to talk about rejection today. And then I thought, I don't know why, I want to hang this around something. You know what I mean? I like to have a reason to be talking about it. And then I watched Rafa last night and I went, oh, well, there we go. There we go. How many times was he rejected? How many times did they write him off that he wasn't going to be able to even walk, never mind win the Grand Slam last night? And I'm going, thank you, thank you, thank you. So you see, Jodie's heard me say it time and time again. I don't need to look for subjects to talk about. Somebody said that to me. You've been doing this for nearly 10 years. How do you keep coming up with these subjects? I said, I just have to be aware of my life. And if I've got these things coming at me, I know my viewers have. I know I am not that special. And I don't mind telling you with tears in my eyes that I watched Rafa last night and I felt humbled. And I said to another viewer, Lauren, who actually lives in Australia, so she was in the right time zone. I said to her, as I watch him, he deserves to win this. To be 2-love down in sets, to be 35, to be, all these things, and then fight back point by point by point by point until he got to 2 sets each. And then he's up against the world number 2 for the last set. And the world number 2 is 10 years younger and talented, obviously. But he just hung in there and he did not quit. And he won the 21st Grand Slam title. I don't know about you, but it makes me cry. I think he absolutely deserved everything. And to think that he will have lost 7 or 8 pounds, how many of you going, maybe I need to learn to play tennis? Sweat, 7 pounds of sweat during a match. I'm going, but what about in a tournament? I was saying this to Lauren last night. What about in a tournament? Because they have to play 4 or 5 games to get all the way to the finals. So you're saying he could lose up to 40 pounds in a tournament. Think about that. He must eat like an elephant in between. But how many of you could even play bad tennis for 5 hours? Never mind top of the line tennis. How many of you going, I can't even pick up a racket? But how many years did he dedicate to doing that? How many years did he fail at that until he got that good? Because of the money? I don't think so. I think he loves the sport. I think he, and the travel. Believe you me, I know about the stress of traveling as much as they do. I used to travel nearly half the year, and I can tell you, it's not fun. All right. All right. So Mo is asking me, let me ask you something. I'm laughing already, Mo. What do you think about people who have imposter syndrome? Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, I totally know what that is because I remember talking about it on stage once. And I said to the audience, I don't know if any of you can relate to this, but you know how much they pay me because I'm a keynote speaker, and they're all nodding their heads and they're going, yeah. And I said, do you know that I wake up in the morning and I sometimes wonder, what if they found out I really don't know what I'm doing? And the audience just burst out laughing. I said, do any of you relate to that? I think I was talking to bankers or something. I don't know what it was. I got such a standing ovation from these people because I said, there are quite often mornings where I wake up and I go, what if they find out I don't really know what I'm doing? I just get up here and I talk. I enjoy it. It's fun for me. I love watching people's reactions. And I love that people tell me it makes a difference. To me, it's very selfish. So yeah, I understand that. I understand the imposter syndrome, 100%. Mo saying, it's so sad to see this, as I see this in so many people, and I see right through it. So, well, hello. What do you see right through to? All right. Are you saying that it doesn't happen? What is your bottom line here? And by the way, please type quickly because I have to go for a dinner and I'm not allowed to be late. Which means I have to close the broadcast on time. So Mo, give it to me. What is your feeling about somebody, because obviously you have strong feelings about it. What is your feeling about somebody who does have the imposter syndrome? Like they wake up and go, what if they find out I really don't know what I'm doing? Jody, did you ever, when I asked you to be my admin, Jody, was your reaction, why would she pick me? She doesn't know what I can do. Why did I pick Jody to be my admin? Okay, so listen to this. This is good stuff, Mo. Mo's saying, so they act as if to make you assume that they do something else. And in the end, who they are shows up anyway. Yeah, you know something? That is one bit of advice I give anybody who says to me they want to go on YouTube. I said, please don't try to be something you're not. You'll never be able to keep that up. You know, you might be able to do it for a year, but you know, you won't be able to do it good days, bad days, whatever, right? If you want to be in YouTube for the long haul, you better be who you are. You know, you better like yourself without makeup. Learn to like yourself without makeup, for example, because there may be a time when you need to do it without makeup. You may want to, you know, do it fat, thin, whatever. Don't worry about how you look. All right. But you know something? It's so funny how many times, Mo, I have, you know, said to people, and it's come up, you know, that I do YouTube, and they go, "Oh, you're on YouTube," and you can tell the judgments, Mo. An old fart on YouTube, and I go, "Yeah," and they go, "Oh, give me your handle so I can check." And it's the funniest thing to watch them actually type in DearMamaSal, and they're going, "You've had over 1.5 million views." I go, surprising, right? Now they automatically assume that I've made a mountain of money, and I haven't at all. But you know, I didn't do it that way. But I want to tell you, every week I go away and ask myself, did I share enough? Did I care enough to share? Did I share enough to make a meaningful difference to somebody's life? And if I did, then I've done my job. And I am happy with that. And will people judge me for it? You bet. You bet. You know something, Mo, saying, I think you're very down to earth. Well, you are too, aren't you, Mo? All right? You are too. And I am certain you understand that I have no fear in telling you that I woke up some mornings as a professional motivational speaker and wondered if they'd find out I didn't know what I was doing, that I'd never trained to do it, that I just got up and did it. I always remember that. But, you know, I didn't care about telling audiences that either because I went, you know, I want to tell you something, Mo. It was so bad. I remember telling this one group, because I used to let them ask me questions about being a speaker. And somebody said, how do you manage to talk for, you know, 3/4 of an hour without any notes? How do you, that's so amazing that you do that. I said, I got to tell you a funny story. I said, and I wonder if I can show you here. Maybe not. Anyway, I said, the funniest thing is it's so much easier to talk without notes. They went, what? And I said, when I first started, I know that everybody that I watched, had these little note cards with them. And, that apparently is what professional speakers did. Because, I watched to see what professionals did. And so guess what? I used to go up to speak with my little cards. I said, they were blank. Because, I'd never keep on track that way. I mean, I would never be able to do that properly. And, the audience cracked up laughing. I said, but I thought that's what being professional was. Me, I just wanted to tell you my story and hope you enjoyed it. I hope it made a difference. And again, I think one of the funniest things I asked an audience is, I said, do any of you, and this is perfectly true, I said, do any of you see the irony of the depressed motivational speaker? Because at the time, I was depressed. I was on medication for depression. And I said to them, do any of you relate to this? Do I have any realtors in the audience that maybe are renting and don't even own a home? And I went down the list of idiosyncrasies and just had everybody falling around laughing because I said, but that doesn't mean I'm not a motivational speaker. It means that I'm depressed, but I can still do my job. Right? Rafa was injured, but he still wanted to do his job. Why? It was bigger than him. He loves playing tennis. And, I am pretty certain even if he retires from the Grand Slam circuit, he will still be playing tennis. I hear that if, Tom Brady decides to retire from playing football and leading the Buccaneers, didn't you all think, well, if he leaves the Patriots, he's done for, he won't play well anymore, right? Guess what? He showed that he was the star. We all knew it, but he was the star, and he will always be, the most incredible football player. And I'm pretty certain he will not waste that skill or that knowledge when he retires. He'll find another way of leading people. He'll find another way. Because that's what he does. And so I look at you and I say to you, let them criticize you. If you like baking, bake. Be good at baking. If you like helping people, help people, Jeannie. If you like making a difference, do it. And so I look at you all and go, don't hope not to be criticized. Be grateful that you are. From my experience, the people who judge you so harshly are so jealous of you. They do not have the courage that you do. They do not have the heart that you do. They do not have the skill that you do. And they punish you for it. It's okay. Remember what Terry Cole Whitaker said. What you think of me is none of my business. It is on them, not on you. And whenever I'm with somebody and I hear them criticizing somebody, I go, I'm pretty sure when I'm not here, you're saying the same about me, right? Oh, no. And I go, yeah. And Mo is saying the only thing I want to be is a gentle warrior who is kind. See, but doesn't that take a lifetime to realize that's really what your path is? That you've been on it the whole time and you've tried not to be on it and you still are on it and you will be on that path for the whole of your life. I look at Jody and think of all the illnesses and trauma she has been through where they tried to shake her off her path of being the person she is. And here she is, survivor of cancer, survivor of lymphedema, survivor. She just is a survivor who spends her life helping people do what they want to do. That's her joy. Thank you, Jody. I will never ever, be able to thank you enough for the hours you spend, doing quick research. Very stressful, very stressful to do that. When I'm sitting there going, Jody, could you check that for me? And by the way, do you know that Jody will do that on a phone and manage to do it, without the equipment she really needs, but she does it. She never complains. She just goes and does the job. And that's why I give her credit every single broadcast, well, that I remember, every single broadcast, because I know how hard she works to support me. And I'm so grateful. So, but do I think that some people probably even judge Jody? Of course they do. People who are jealous. I'm off to go and have Chinese dinner with my friend who turned 75 yesterday. And I'm going to thoroughly enjoy it. And I hope that you found something today that made you go, you know something? I need to just be me and be happy with it. Keep improving, yes. Keep growing, yes. Keep doing the research, yes. But just be who you are and be good at it. This is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for helping other people be here. Yes, and I agree with Jeannie. What a wonderful thing to end on. Jeannie's saying, standing up all alone is not the worst thing in the world. I agree. My thanks to you all. This is Dear Mama Sal, off to have Chinese. Bye-bye for now. Thanks, Jody.